What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with Jon Marks, brought to you by Bet Parks and the Bet Parks app. Eagles remain 3-point underdogs to the Ravens on Sunday on the Bet Parks app. And we are live on PHLY. Why? Because that's where we are. If you're watching on YouTube this morning, I'll be curious to see if how many of our regulars are on here this morning. It's the day after Thanksgiving. And we've built a great community of chatters, the Mad Chatters on Philly with Jon Marks. So appreciate everybody joining us live on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast, Tyler gets it up after 9 o'clock every morning. If you're watching on TV, good morning to everybody watching on Xfinity, Roku, Samsung Plus, and soon to be many, many more. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I have complaints immediately. We'll get to some sports. We have a huge game this weekend, Eagles and Ravens. But this morning, I couldn't find my keys to get in, so I left a little bit later than I normally would, and just so I'm not sitting in a parking lot. And Tyler has keys, we get in or whatever. But like Tyler's getting out of his car, and I'm like rolling out of my car. I feel hungover. I didn't have a drop of alcohol yesterday, not one drop of alcohol, and I feel completely hungover. I ate, and I was talking about on Wednesday with Ant, and I say this all the time. Like, I like Thanksgiving. The meal's fine, but like I'm not waiting. Like, oh, I can't wait for Thanksgiving because the food, or whatever. I ate 2 Thanksgiving dinners yesterday. I was at my in-laws in the morning or in the lunch, and then I was at my parents' last night. And I ate a lot. I ate desserts. I ate turkey. I had double helpings both times, stuffing. So, like, I did desserts again. I was, like, rolling out of my car this morning thinking, like, holy crap. And by the way, I haven't worked the day after Thanksgiving in, I don't know, maybe 15 years. When you work the cushy radio life, you do 4 hours a day, but you get holidays off. Most people are off work today. Excuse me. A lot of people are off work today. Like, my wife, it's a holiday. It's a company holiday for her. So, like, I'm rolling in here. Tyler and I are rolling in here. And it's like, all right, like, we got fun stuff to talk about. This is going to be a good show. And we get in the door. The friggin' elevator is busted. Now, I came here. We were at the Reading Terminal on Wednesday. So I parked, and I have, I have the bladder of an old woman. So I'm like, well, let me go up and use the bathroom before I walk to the Reading Terminal from our studios. And right away I see, because the door's open, to go up the steps. And by the way, the door is on the outside, the exterior of the building. And they've left this door open since at least Wednesday, because I looked at the door on Wednesday and I said, hell no, I'm not walking up 7 flights of steps. I'll just hold it and wait till I get to I'll be uncomfortable and wait for the 15-minute walk to Reading Terminal. So Tyler and I see it. It's like, up, elevator's down. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that this building's leaving the door open in this freaking neighborhood? Anywhere, for that matter. You're leaving a door open for that many days in a row? And I got to tell you, walking 7 flights of steps the day after Thanksgiving, the morning after Thanksgiving, before 7 o'clock in the morning, it's not good. I'm worried about Anthony, to be honest with you. Tyler Zulli, I'm not telling you that I'm in great shape, because I'm not, but I'm not in bad shape, right? Like, I do work out. It's been a little bit of time. I need to get back in the routine, but like I'm in decent shape, right? And I'm not saying anything about Anthony. I'm just saying that it was not easy for me to walk up these 7 flights this morning.
So I said to you this morning, I said, hey, almost a similar line of I work out, not like I'm this, chiseled figure or anything like that, but
you're in good shape.
I hit the gym decently enough, maybe a little less now that I've got a baby at home, but I hit the gym enough. You try to eat well, you try to do the right things, right? But when you're not planning on an early, like a workout like that, and your body, like, because your body you're stiff, right? You don't stretch, you're not loose, you're not whatever.
Mentally, you prepare yourself. Hey, I'm going into this class.
Sure, I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna go get a stretch in. I'll go put some weights up. I'll go do some cardio. Like, I'm gonna go play be a little pickup or something with the guys, whatever it might be. Like, you prepare yourself for that moment. When you get to work and you go, oh man, I got to climb almost 10 flights of steps with the backpack. Now, and granted, we have the backpack, right? Andrew down the hall
The
had to
equipment.
lug the gear from Reading Terminal up the steps, and I felt terrible for him because I forgot he had it, right? We had this debacle of not having the elevator fixed when we got back on Wednesday, and he's like, I'll just leave it in my car. It should be fixed by Friday, right? Wrong.
This building sucks. Whoever
building's a
the
million
landlord
years
is
old.
sucks in this building. There's no way in hell that you can have a building that you're renting out. We're not the only residents in this building. It's all commercial. But there's other clients that are in this building. You tell me you can't. I know it's over Thanksgiving. You telling me that you can't get somebody to come out to fix the elevator? And by the way, they're not the safest steps. This is a really, really old building. This is a historic building.
That's the problem. Is the steps are narrow because that's how steps were built
Wood,
100 years ago,
uneven.
and they're wood. And you think you should be okay, but you never know.
I barely have. I'm not even recovered right now. I'm not kidding. This was going to be a grind this morning. It's not one of these days in radio where my younger days, where maybe you were out late the night before, where you can just look like a total bag and it doesn't matter because you come in, you wear the sweatpants, you put the hood up, and you're just like, oh, yeah, whatever. I got to actually be in front of the camera now. So thanks a lot. Where's Vince Pellegrini?
The days of the big headphones, studio headphones over the hood.
Over the hood. Oh,
Yep.
it's awesome.
So I did a not to get too in detail, but I did a show like 2 or 3 days removed from having my wisdom teeth taken out.
Oh,
And it was one of those things where I was working, I was hourly, right? So I had to get back to work.
You do the shift.
I have to go back to work, and my teeth are like chattering in my head. And I felt the same way. I had the hood up. I was like, turn the lights off. I have a headache. People are like, are you hungover? I'm like, I wish I was, because it would have been self-induced, right? It would have been my fault. I can't, I'm sitting here like I got stitches coming out the back of my mouth. If I had been salary, I probably would have taken a couple extra days.
Oh, man. Yeah, I got the turkey hangover. Vince Pellegrini, we need to have a conversation about this elevator. And here's one more thing, then we'll move on. I walked into the studio, and it has its own thermostat for the studio. And it wasn't even on. Like, it was like, let me turn it off. It's 62 degrees in here. So I'm wearing my jacket. This ain't for style, folks. It's 62 degrees in here. This is big. We should take a tour around here sometime, Tyler. But and then it's like high ceilings. Like I said, it's a historic building. So there's bricks. There's no insulation. All right. It's cold in here. The air quality's bad. I had strep throat twice in 5 weeks. I haven't had it since I was a kid. I'm going to blame the building for that.
We found out. Sorry, I didn't even realize I was still in the shot. I'm trying to do some production work here. My bad. We found out that the vents above you the air filters haven't been checked in almost 2 years.
Surprised it's not 22 years with this friggin' building.
October of 2022 was the last time they were removed.
Oh, so the air quality's poor, and that's probably the reason I'm getting sick. Oh, all right. Awesome.
Yeah, this is John's Festivus. It's not even close to
I
Christmas
thought
time
of that.
yet, but
it's like, this isn't even Festivus. And let's screw this building. Vince Pellegrini, we need to have a conversation. This is ridiculous. All right. By the way, and we're going to get to headlines. That's how we're going to start talking sports. I had tweeted the picture out at Jon Marks Media. And my children do watch this show. So just keep that in mind. That the elves have arrived at my house. We have the elves, the elf on the shelf. We have two, Sparkle and Spice. And they arrived. I came downstairs this morning, very, very shocked and stunned to see that they were hanging from our light fixture in my kitchen. So, yep. So the elves are here, Tyler.
So I got to ask you, obviously, this is my first Christmas having children, and obviously my son's way too young to know who the elves are, right? I don't know the answer to this question. No. Does each house get like the same elves every year? Or does Santa send them to a different house every year and you get a new set? That's cool.
It's like having a probation officer or a social worker or something.
Awesome. Yep. So you get a nice little relationship with your elves every year.
And when we had my baby, my Bella, then what do you know? Santa decided to send a second elf because the children are too many children. So we needed a second. Now, there's no third, so I don't know if Santa would ever incorporate a third. I don't believe he would. But yeah, so the elf arrived last night. There you go. So that's Christmas is officially here.
Yeah, it's Christmas season. I know you put up the tree and everything earlier this year, but earlier, like last week or whatever, I'm sure the kids are super excited,
Election
right?
Day, we put the tree up. I did the outdoor decorations. I think that was Monday or Tuesday.
Just staple your flannel shirt to the roof.
Not
Good work by you.
You know what I noticed in the neighborhood? There was I saw something they put on the mailbox. It's a company, and it's the first time that they've ever been in our neighborhood. I know people that have told me about it before. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But they come around. They're like, hey, whatever the amount of money is, I can't imagine that it's necessarily cheap. But they have their own lights. They put them up, and they put them on the roof, and they put them on the trees. They do a really, really good job. It looks great, but they put it up for you, so you don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, I'm sold. I don't want to have to So I don't do ladders. I don't do
me
lights.
neither. Well, not like that.
Yeah, and so if somebody can come and do the lights for me, 100%.
Yeah, it looks great. And it's their lights. You don't have to have them. They mess with the roof. They mess with like they must have some kind of crane that they bring around with them that's just a little bit easier. But yeah, so we didn't do that. But there's a ton of people in the neighborhood that I've noticed that already had taken advantage of that offer. All right, there you go. Let's all right. So listen, Thanksgiving, obviously turkey and family, but football. And I watched a lot of all the games. I didn't watch, I guess the game that I watched the least of was the Cowboys and the Giants because that was during dinner. So I watched a lot of the first half, if not most of the first half. And then I didn't see a lot of the end of the second half. But we can discuss all those things, including getting ready for the Eagles and Ravens, with our headline segment. Here's Tyler Zulli. Tyler.
Yeah, let's do it. And, of course, our headlines are brought to us by our friends at Glad Hair Restoration because bald is now optional. And if you want to look, improve how you look and improve how you feel, head on over to gladhairmctr.com or 610-980-4000 to get started. And as you said, there were a score of NFL games last night and yesterday to watch over your Thanksgiving day. And the only thing I will say I didn't do was I watched less of the Packers-Dolphins last night than I did the Cowboys-Giants, and you didn't really miss a whole lot on Cowboys-Giants. They did end up scoring 47 combined points.
Two bad teams.
But it was a pretty bad football game. But let's start at the beginning. If you missed any of these games, we'll get you caught up quickly. The Lions hold on to beat the Bears 23-20 with maybe the most malpractice coaching quarterback situation I've ever seen. So just to fill you in really quickly, the Lions were up in this game 23-7 at the end of the third quarter. You're thinking they're going to coast. This one's over. The Bears start to mount a comeback. They score 13 points in the fourth quarter. And in fact, they have the ball with about 2 minutes left, and they're marching down the field, and they get to about the 40-yard line. Caleb Williams takes a sack. Probably shouldn't have taken a sack, but he takes a sack. And the Bears kind of just take their time getting to the line. They don't really rush. Caleb Williams gets to the line, gets set, changes the play. They allowed like 30 seconds to run off the clock. They get down to 6 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and they have to throw up a Hail Mary because they don't manage the clock properly. Now, here's the problem, John. The Bears had a timeout. At no point did the quarterback or the head coach think about using the timeout when there was distress and disarray going on at the line of scrimmage. Now, It was bad to take the sack, right? It was bad to not get the guys to the line quickly. But as a head coach, how do you not just take overarching charge? You're the head coach of the football team. Call a timeout. I'm like mad at this game, and I have no affinity or affiliation with the Bears whatsoever.
Lions get a loss here. That helps the Eagles.
Sure.
I like everybody else watching it, and then his explanation afterwards where he said he thought it was like he was fine what they did. I mean, the problem is Williams took way too long. He's got to snap the ball. Even if it's 5 seconds sooner, he's got to snap the ball. And like at that point, if you're the coach, you probably are you taking a timeout with 18 seconds because it's taken so long?
I think
your
you
coach
have
is like,
to.
Snap the ball, snap the ball, snap the ball. I mean, like if you call timeout, now you can set up your next couple plays. You have enough time to where you can get a completion, get in field goal range. Because really you're trying to get in field goal range. You have plenty of time to do that if you take the timeout, and then you can probably run 3 plays. Even if you're in bounds, you can get up and spike it. Now, who knows if Caleb Williams would have even been able to do that with the way that they handled this. But
Cairo Santos' career long for his career is 55 yards. They would have been at about 57, 58 to kick the field goal, which I know is a difficult task for a guy who's never kicked a field goal that long before.
Right.
But if you take the timeout after you see the disarray, like you said, 17, 18 seconds left, Maybe you have a shot at a throw to the sideline. Maybe you have a shot at something underneath where you can get 5 or 6 yards, and you make that 57-52. It was malpractice all around. It was bad by the quarterback. It was bad by the head coach. Somebody on the sideline didn't call timeout. I know that there's only a finite amount of people that are allowed to call timeout, but no one in the headset decided, hey, maybe we should stop letting the clock dwindle to next to nothing.
So you think about this, and everybody's going to focus on that, and they should. It was the end of the game, but they had the ball at the 50-yard line with 2 minutes to go and timeouts.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams gets sacked. Now it's 2nd and 17. You know, they got bailed out on a suspect pass interference call, too. Like, they were trying to lose this game, and they kept getting first downs. 1st and 10 at the Detroit 25, and that's where you have and they took their second timeout after an incompletion. 43 seconds left, 2nd and 10. And again, they got penalized illegal use of hands to the face, so they get the penalty. They were at the 25-yard line with 46 seconds left and timeouts.
Yep.
How do you not? They didn't even get a chance at a field goal.
Got nothing out. Didn't even have a scoring opportunity. It was just dreadful malpractice by the entirety of the offensive
They keep losing
staff.
these close games.
Eberflus is getting fired. There's no way he's not at this point. They're now 4-8. The likelihood they make the playoffs as a 9-8 team is very slim.
They're not making the playoffs. Yeah, it's a matter of whether they want to whack him or just wait till the end of the year.
Yeah, he's going to get fired at this point. And James Bonflyer says they're tanking. I mean, they shouldn't be, right?
No, you got to win games.
But here they are, 4-8 are the Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions do get out of it with a win. They still remain as one of the 2 teams in the NFL with just 1 loss. So let's go to the second set of games. The Dallas Cowboys get a win, and I guess help their cause. I don't even know what to say. They're 5-7 now after a 27-20 win over the New York Giants, who fall to 2-10 on the season. It was a battle of backup quarterbacks. Drew Lock threw for 178 yards and 1 pick. Cooper Rush, 195 yards and 1 touchdown. This is how bad it was for the Giants. Drew Lock ended up being the leading rusher for the Giants as well with 57 yards and a score. The Giants fall to 2-10. They are now tied for I guess they currently hold the worst record in the NFL because they have the 10th loss, but there are some teams that are 2-9 that are going to play this weekend. Yeah,
this is it's a good loss for the Giants. They remain with the number 1 overall pick. They need a quarterback. For the Cowboys, Tyler, this couldn't be a better situation as an Eagle fan, because now the Cowboys are winning games when it's over. They're winning with Cooper Rush. They're not doing it because of Cooper Rush. So now Cowboys fans, and more importantly, Jerry Jones, is going to say, oh, well, like, look, if we had Dak Prescott and there weren't all these injuries and we had a couple pieces, if they end up finishing with 8 wins or whatever, then you're going to make the case maybe Mike McCarthy comes back.
Probably.
Jerry Jones was talking last week, and who knows what the hell he's talking about. Or earlier this week, he's talking about an extension. Yeah, he's not ruling out an extension for Mike McCarthy. I honestly don't know.
So, and it's funny because Mr. Sandman just puts this comment up, and it's something that I thought about a lot early in the season was, is Deion the next head coach of the Cowboys? I don't think Deion's going anywhere at Colorado.
He shouldn't.
He just got another 5-star commit. He got the number 1 quarterback commit to sign last week.
Yeah.
So the premier position, the quarterback position where Shedeur Sanders is going to vacate at the end of the season, it's going to be filled at least fairly quickly with another 5-star quarterback. They have 3 5-stars in the last couple of weeks. And I know they lost to Kansas last week, and it really hurts their Big 12 chances. But they're building a sustainable model at Colorado that, you thought about at the beginning. Was it a top-heavy roster, right? Like, you think about last year, there was like 5 or 6 exceptionally gifted players, and the rest of the roster was pretty limited. This year
he leaves for the NFL if the program gets in trouble and he's facing sanctions or things like that. Or Chip wasn't going to leave Oregon, and then he got caught, and it's like, all right, well, I'm gone.
Sure.
And I'm not telling you that Deion's committing sanctions, like there's anything that's going on in Colorado, but still, like, why would he leave now?
No, he's building a program there looks like it has sustainability to it.
Well, like you had said, he's recruiting 5-star quarterbacks. As long as you can recruit top talent like that, Travis Hunter he's going to be the first non-quarterback that's drafted.
Sure.
His son is going to be the number 1 overall pick, and I don't think he goes to Dallas because then he can't coach his son. So then he's going to the Cowboys, and Shedeur maybe is a Giant. To me, he should plant his flag at Colorado because what he's doing hasn't been done in Colorado in how long?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's going to be at Colorado for the foreseeable future because I think they're going to continue to get better as they go on because he's, like we said, he's recruiting a ton of really good players.
I want him to stay in college. He makes it very relevant. Let's do this. Let's step aside for a second. We'll get more headlines coming up. Also, why I feel great about the Birds rolling into Week 13. That's coming up next. Philly with Jon Marks. Yes. All right, well, listen, let's talk about, we always talk about gambling lines. Our locks are coming up later on today. Uncle Jamie's locks of the week, college football locks of the week coming up later today. It is a great rivalry weekend as well, right? So you have BetParks, you have the BetParks app. Eagles, 3-point underdogs. I'll give my pick later on in the show, but I think it's a field goal game. Very tight line. I would probably take the Eagles +3, but Parks Casino, my casino of choice. Amazing new releases right now. Just announced Country Star Scotty McCreery coming to the Excite Center, which is the amazing state-of-the-art venue at Parks Casino. That's March 7th. January 17th, Jessica Kirsten. She's a comedian. Sure, she's great. Reggae Sounds of Shaggy. I actually love Shaggy. January 18th, plus the annual Joe Conklin Holiday Show. 2 shows, December 5th and December 19th, starring Joe Conklin, and he has the City Rhythm Orchestra in Club 360, which is amazing. Actor Richard Kind from Curse Your Enthusiasm. Comedian Ron White, March 21st. Dinner, drinks. Before the show, you have a couple different options. Liberty Bell Gastropub, if you're looking for an amazing burger, amazing. Or the Parks Grill Steakhouse, high-end steakhouse. Amazing. Can't say enough about it. Bamboo Noodle House. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21 or older. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Rite Aid. Listen, this isn't wood, but I'm going to knock on it. Everybody seems pretty healthy at my house. That will not last, and that's why you'll see me. If you go into the Royersford Rite Aid, there's a good chance you're going to see me roaming the aisles because, listen, I stock up cold and flu and everything that you need over-the-counter stuff, but also for my prescriptions and everything. But right now, it's flu season, right? Get a flu shot. You don't want to be sick during the holidays, and that's why you go to your Rite Aid pharmacy and get the latest flu shot. Or ask about your other vaccines that you need, because according to the CDC, flu vaccination may reduce a child's risk of severe life-threatening influenza by 75%. So protect you and protect your family by getting flu shots at your Rite Aid today. And the flu virus this year, it's changing, according to the CDC. Get your annual flu shot formulated to help protect you against this year's expected flu strains. And while you're at the pharmacy, do what I do. Stock up on cough, cold, flu, all your essentials, the deals. I'm always looking for a deal. All right. And check it out now. Rite Aid. They'll get you through the season. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule RiteAid.com. State, age, and health restrictions apply. Ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for details. Now back to Tyler Zurley with more headlines.
Yeah, we'll wrap things up with the final game of the night yesterday. It was the Green Bay Packers taking care of business against the Miami Dolphins, 30-17. Packers improved to 9-3 on the year. Dolphins fall to 5-7. Dolphins' run game has been basically non-existent for a good portion of the season now, and Devon Achane has been good this year, but yesterday the Dolphins run for a measly sum of 39 yards, and Raheem Mostert was their leading rusher for 5 for 19. Couldn't get anything going on the ground. They lose this game 30-17. Tua Tagovailoa now falls to 0-5 in games in which the temperature, I believe it was 35 degrees, or was below 35 degrees in his career. Yep. Continues to struggle in cold weather. They're now 5-7.
Yeah. I mean, the Packers are good. You watch that game from an Eagle fan perspective, and you beat them the first game of the season. Packers are good. But you wonder going up against, it feels like that they're that next tier. We have the Lions, we have the Eagles, and the Packers maybe lead that next tier of teams. But Minnesota, it's amazing. You're going to get a couple really good teams from the North making the playoffs. Minnesota may have 12, 13 wins and be the 5 seed because the Lions are rolling right now. So, all right. Well, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, by the way, one correction. I apologize. I thought the two of the guys that were signed yesterday to Colorado were 5 stars. They're actually only listed as 4 stars. So edge rusher London Merritt and wide receiver Quentin Gibson. So they do only have 1 5-star recruit as of right now, but 2 high 4 stars as well. My apologies on that.
Well, listen, with accuracy is very important on Philly with Jon Marks. You know that I will always be accurate. Well, I won't, but if people correct me, then I will say, okay, I was wrong, because I'm wrong quite a bit. That's for sure. All right, Tyler, thank you. I also have to send me that link, because I have to get Daulton the link, because we have our stat intern that joins us, Daulton, the stat intern. He joins us at the end of the show on Friday with a different, shiny, spiffy stat. Uncle Jamie and his college football locks for the week are coming up in about 15 minutes or so. And yeah, so there you go. So Eagles Ravens, it is we mentioned before, it's a 3-point line. So essentially the odds makers are telling you this is a coin flip game. And the Ravens, who have 4 losses, they're at home. They've been somewhat inconsistent. They lost that game to the Raiders earlier this season, but I think everybody acknowledges Lamar is an MVP type player. Derrick Henry has been a great addition for the Ravens. Their defense isn't as good as maybe they normally are, but a very, very good team, certainly an above average team. And then you get the Eagles. And it's also weird. You get the Eagles coming from Los Angeles. They played Sunday night. You get the Ravens coming from Los Angeles. They played on Monday night. So short week for Baltimore, as they didn't get home on Tuesday until probably 6 o'clock in the morning. But like these are 2 good teams. I believe the Eagles are the better team, but it's a matter of, in the NFL, is it like it's week to week? So sometimes you got to ask yourself, when you're trying to handicap games, just say, okay, well, like, who needs this one more? And the Eagles need it from the perspective of they need to keep pace with the Lions, because the Lions have 1 loss, and if the Eagles lose, they would have 3 losses. Now they're 2 games behind. But to me, this game's much more important for the Ravens, because if this is a loss for Baltimore, they fall to 7-5. And not that you're saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but like 5 losses, that's a lot through 12 games. So again, I think this is an evenly matched game. This is a game where I'd said with the tease why I feel great about the Birds rolling into week 13. Tyler and I, before the show, were kind of going over the games that we picked, or the games we're looking at. Really, we're just talking about the schedule of the games coming up here for the week. And it's like, all right, well, like, the Bucks. The Bucks may be a playoff team. One week you watch them, and you're like, the Bucks are pretty good. Then you watch them the following week, you're like, yeah, the Bucks aren't all that good. And you do that with so many teams in the NFL right now. But here's 2 teams I don't do that with. It's the Eagles and the Lions. The Eagles are a very good team. The Lions yesterday are a very, very good team. And I don't think there's anything fluky about anything they're doing right now. And the Eagles are probably going to lose a game or 2 before the end of the season. But they've arrived. They're back, and they're real. And there's not going to be a collapse like there was last year. Outside of Saquon Barkley getting injured, or there being some type of major move by defensive coordinators to where the Eagles don't have a response to it, I just don't see that happening. They are so good on defense, so much better on defense. Their offense is rolling. Everything runs through Saquon Barkley. This team is for real. The Lions, same way. They're for real. Although I don't necessarily know about their defense. I like the Eagles defense better. And when I watch the Ravens play, I don't feel the same way about the Ravens as I do the Eagles. The Ravens are a little bit too inconsistent. And as great as Lamar plays, and as much as we wanted to make him, or not me, but others wanted to make him the MVP again this year, like, no. I don't think he's the MVP, and I don't think the Ravens are on that top tier of their conference like the Eagles are. But with all that said, I still think this is a game that the Ravens find a way to win. So I'll take the Eagles +3, and again, this is just a coin flip, and I'm going with the idea that the Ravens are at home and they need this game. The urgency for them to win this game is that. And when you look at last week's game, yeah, they beat the Chargers, but man, Chargers kind of gave them that game. Chargers didn't want to win that game. Quentin Johnson had a number of bad drops. I mean, that was a close game that they easily could have lost. I didn't think they played particularly well in that game. The Eagles played great against the Rams. They beat the hell out of the Rams. Outside of those first two drives, or that first drive by Los Angeles, the Eagles defense shut them down. So, reading your press clippings, Saquon Barkley, 255 rushing yards. The Eagles are the toast of the NFL. Everybody's talking about them. And the Ravens need this game bad. So I'm going to take the Ravens 23-20. 23-21 in a very close game. I'll take the Eagles +3, but this is a coin flip game, Tyler. I don't know what you think about this one.
Yeah, it's a really great matchup of, I think, an excellent team versus a very good team. It's a team, we've talked about it plenty. I took the Ravens at the beginning of the year to go to the Super Bowl, and to not only go to the Super Bowl, but to win the Super Bowl out of the AFC. And, obviously the Chiefs are 10-1 and they're playing some really good football. The Ravens aren't bad. They aren't, they've had a string of some excellent games, and then, a couple of losses. Pittsburgh obviously is their kryptonite, or at least is Lamar Jackson's kryptonite, but they come back, they bounce back and win a good game in LA. Last week against the Chargers, who are also a pretty good football team. I think they're probably in tier 3 of the AFC. And I think the Ravens right now are in tier 2 of the AFC, because I think Kansas City probably stands alone in the AFC's tier 1. Whereas I think there's 2 tier 1 teams in the NFC. It's, as you mentioned, the Lions and the Eagles. The Ravens are an interesting defense, and that's kind of where I think that this game hinges, is on the Ravens defense, because they are statistically the best rushing defense in the NFL this year. Or, excuse me, the second best rushing defense in the NFL this year. They've only given up 935 rushing yards as a team. They're one of 4 teams that have not given up 1,000 rushing yards this year. The Eagles are 5th, by the way. They've given up 1,091. But the Vikings, Ravens, Chiefs, and Steelers are the only 4 teams in the NFL who have yet to give up 1,000 rushing yards. They also only give up 3.5 yards per carry, which is the best in the NFL. The Ravens have been run on 270 times this year and not given up 1,000 yards. It's really, really impressive. The inverse, however, is the Ravens' pass defense is susceptible not just to success, but to big plays. They have given up the second most 20-plus yard receptions in the NFL at 50 this season. The only team that's given up more is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 52. They give up about 65% completion percentage. They give up 7.6 yards per throw. We talked about the Rams being above 8. The Ravens are not too far behind them at 7.6. Yardage-wise, they give up the most yards in the NFL through the air at 3,569 yards. This game, to me, hinges on the play of Jalen Hurts. I said that last week, and it ended up being Saquon Barkley's best game. But I think this one specifically hinges on the play of Jalen Hurts. And I think that this is one of those games where, as you brought up, I think the Ravens need this one more than the Eagles need this one, even though that Detroit did win yesterday, and they are still that game and a half above Philadelphia for the 1 seed. I think the Ravens need this one a little bit more with how tight the AFC North is, with how tight the AFC as a whole is. Between Pittsburgh kind of right on their heels with the win against them last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. I'm going to take Baltimore to win this game. I think the winning streak snaps at 7. I think the Eagles get right back on it next week. There's no cause for concern. I just think this is a game that Baltimore needs more than the Eagles do. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one, and I think I'm going to take the Ravens with the points. I'm going to say the Ravens win this one 27-20. Well, no, I guess 28-24.
So they cover.
Because I was going to say 27-24, but that would be a push, and that's cowardly.
Not allowed to push.
And that's cowardly, so I'm going to say the Ravens win this one 28-24.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as well. You had mentioned the running and the passing. So last week, the Rams secondary was not the strength of their team, and their front. And you saw the young guys on their front; they're very good. But the Eagles' offensive line's very good, and they ran the ball down their friggin' throat.
Yeah, and BG brings up a good point in the chat. I think Lamar Jackson has 1 loss in his career to the NFC. How much merit does that hold on a year-to-year basis? I don't know, but maybe there is just an interconference thing with Lamar where he's like, let's just go beat them and move on.
You know what it is? I think it is that teams that are familiar with them have a better read on how to stop them. as opposed to you play him once every couple of years, he just runs wild. It's like the Steelers, the Steelers, him not being able to beat the Steelers is a thing, and not performing well against the Steelers is a thing. And why is that? Well, they know each other very well. They play twice a year.
Well, and you and I talked about trends before the show started, and I think that there's differences in trends year to year from a player as opposed to, or a group of team as opposed to like this trend of, well, the Eagles haven't beaten this. I'm just going to make one up. The Eagles haven't beaten the Ravens in 6 tries. Well, the Eagles only play the Ravens once every 4 years, right? So you're talking about 2 decades worth of teams.
Right.
That's a made up stat. It's not real. Don't quote me on that. But I was just using it as an example. That's like 7 different iterations of a football team. If you say Lamar Jackson hasn't beaten the Steelers in 5 tries, that's only 2.5 years. That's a much more real, tangible sample size to say the Steelers really have had Lamar Jackson's number over the course of his career.
Yep. Yeah, I think and we'll give our picks coming up after Uncle Jamie, but I have the Steelers, they start their fall, their slide, their skid coming up here. So we'll give our picks next segment, but I'm looking forward to this game because you don't want to. I saw my old show on WIP. On Twitter they had put out could it be a good loss for the Eagles or something like that, and like. You don't know the context of what they were saying. I used to get hammered with it all the time, which is like, this is so stupid. No. It's like, yeah, but you don't know the context of the show. Like sometimes it's a sarcastic poll that you're putting out there, but you want them to win out until the final week of the season. I don't think it's going to happen. And this is a difficult game. And if they beat the Ravens, then you're like, they may not lose a game before the end of the regular season.
You're talking about if they win this game tomorrow, you're talking about a team that likely will go 14-3 because, I think you probably are not worrying about that last game of the year. Maybe towards the end, depending on standings and things like that. But if they win this game on Sunday, you could see a team that wins 4 of its last 5 and does end up going 14-3, which is insane to say when you had a team that was 2-2 and struggled the way they struggled against Tampa Bay heading into the bye. This is just an explosively different team since the bye.
So, home against the Panthers, home against the Steelers, Commanders, and Cowboys. I mean, are you going to lose to the Steelers?
Oh, you could.
You could. I mean, whatever.
Well,
you're not losing to the Panthers.
Washington's trending downward. The Giants stink. The Cowboys stink.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, dude. I'm comfortable with them being the number 2 seed right now. If they're the number 1 seed, that'd be awesome.
You'd love the bye, right? Of course you would.
It would be awesome. But I'm comfortable with them being the number 2 seed if it means that I don't need them to use up every last drop of their players to try to win the number 1 seed. You know what I mean? If that means that, listen, if the Lions and the Eagles would have the tiebreaker, and if they win and the Lions lose in the last game of the season, and they're playing at the same time, you got it, you going for the number 1 seed, no doubt about it. I don't know if it's going to come down to that.
Well, and I will say this, and I hate saying this because it's out of teams' control, but the Lions have suffered a rash of injuries over the last couple of weeks. You brought, Aiden Hutchinson was the big one early, but they've lost a ton of guys. Taylor Decker didn't play this weekend. Dan Skipper was pretty good at left tackle yesterday, but Alex Anzalone left the game last week, didn't play this week, expected to miss a decent amount of time. And they had a bunch of guys kind of get banged up yesterday with some smaller stuff. And, I'm not sitting here saying that, it's the end-all, be-all for the Lions because they've proven they're a pretty darn good football team. But they have had a little bit of a slew of injuries over the last couple of weeks that maybe slows them down just a little bit.
Could they have peaked too early?
No, I don't think so.
Like the Phillies. Oh, well, listen, injuries are a part of that as well. All right, listen, coming up, we're giving out free money here on Philly with Jon Marks. You know why? Our locks of the NFL, and Uncle Jamie is back with his college football locks of the week. It's rivalry week. That's right. That's all coming up next. Philly with Jon Marks. Don't go anywhere. Talk about Glatt Hair Restoration. That's right. They're open over at the office right now. 610-980-4000. You see my hair. You know it looks good. 610-980-4000. Glatt Hair Restoration, best in the business, most experience and most success when it comes to hair restoration. State-of-the-art procedures, state-of-the-art facility, the latest in science. That's really what it is. You're not getting your hair back because they're sewing hair on your head. No, we're talking about hair restoration. It's science. That's how you get your hair back. It's your real growing hair. I get my hair cut every 2 or 3 weeks at the razor bar, right? Looks amazing. My own Barber John, when I told him after he probably was cutting my hair for a few years, I told him, yeah, I had hair restoration. Like, what do you mean? Like, I had hair restoration. Like, well, I'm like, hair restoration. Look at my before and after pictures. And somebody that was that close to my scalp and my head couldn't tell that I had hair restoration. But they can help you during all stages of hair loss. Leading edge treatments for prevention and restoration. That includes laser light therapy, vitamin supplementation. And I know people that have done that. It works great. Non-invasive TED treatments, PRP and stem cell restoration, which I've had done. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. Not just about restoration, it's about innovation. Glatt Hair. Bald's now optional. Call them today, 610-980-4000, 610-980-4000. The website, Glatt, G-L-A-T, GlattHairMCTR.com, GlattHairMCTR.com. All right, rough, rugged, and roar. Did I say that? Rugged Road. Let's go. Listen, now's the time of year where you're going to be like, all right, like, what can I get that person in my life? What can I get my dad? What can I get my brother? What can I get myself? Damn it. Listen, Rugged Road's dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best, highest quality materials and craftsmanship. But here we're talking about a cooler. One of the most unique coolers you're going to see. Whether you're on land or on water, Rugged Road is built to accompany you on every adventure. Their coolers have the ability to always float upright. So you can put your drink in the cooler. You're rolling down. I mean, listen, I'm on the river a lot, so I'm in water. So, but you can have it in your pool, right? And unlike the other heavy-duty coolers that are out there, incredibly light. So they're built incredibly to be incredibly durable, but they're incredibly light. So you don't need help carrying this cooler around. Right? Easy to transport, and you're not compromising on performance. Handling the toughest environments, they're built to last, and they can keep your contents cool. They guarantee this for up to 7 days, but sometimes even longer. Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities. I'm not a fisher or a tuber or a camper, but I like to tailgate. This is the cooler you want to bring to your tailgate. Designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers, reliable, durable, and built to be used. Your ultimate outdoor companion. Rugged Road. If you go to ruggedroadoutdoors.com, check this out. I got a promo code for you. PHLY. PHLY, 10% off ruggedroad.com. Hooah. All right. Well, listen, we got to it's rivalry week. We got to get to Uncle Jamie's for his college football locks of the week. As always, brought to you by Central City Toyota, 55 years on Chestnut Street in the heart of University City. CentralCityToyota.com. As Uncle Jamie was with me last night watching football, eating turkey. Jamie ate more than me last night, which is tough. But I also had a Thanksgiving dinner before I came to my parents' house last night. So at least Jamie probably didn't eat a lot before he came over. What's up, Jamie?
What's happening? Good morning. Rivalry week. Bucket of stuffing last night. So good times.
You're not kidding. And Jamie, I rolled out of bed. The elevator's busted here. I had to walk up 7 flights of steps with a turkey hangover. So
you're working it out.
I am not happy about this. Well, listen, you pick some games. This is rivalry week or weekend, and in particular, so let's go what you're doing here. You have Georgia Tech and Georgia. You have Michigan and Ohio State. That's a big one. And you have Clemson and South Carolina. Let's start with the battle for Atlanta and Georgia. Georgia Tech at UGA. Georgia disappointing this year. I guess you can't do it every year. And Georgia Tech pretty good this year, considering they're not considered a great program.
Yeah, so you wonder why the line is as it is. Georgia's at home, but they're given 18 points to Georgia Tech. If you watch that Georgia Tech game initially against Florida State beginning of the season, you're thinking, wow, this team. Then you saw they played well throughout the year, really good rushing attack, 190 yards per game rushing attack. So why is the line, plus 18 for Georgia Tech? I'm just thinking that Georgia just overwhelms them with the talent level. I just think it gets to a certain point each week. Georgia starts out, they're pedantic, they go through the motions. Second quarter, Carson Beck doesn't look great. Then all of a sudden, something happens at the end of the half. Next half, they start rolling. So I'm going to go with Georgia. Given the points at home, I think this kind of game is where they're motivated. Kirby seems like he's got this team primed. They're going to be in the SEC championship game, college football playoff. So for an off year for Georgia, it's still
a good year.
Take Georgia.
Yeah. All right. So you wonder. This is my feeling with Michigan and Ohio State, because Michigan's not very good this year. Yep. Ohio State is. I mean, they're the second-ranked team. They have a loss. They're big favorites in this game, 19.5. I'm saying. To me, this feels like Michigan's had Ohio State's number. Jim Harbaugh's now gone, and Ryan Day is going to say, "All right, you're going to pay for these last couple years. We're going to pound you into oblivion." What do you think?
I could not agree with you anymore. I think Ohio State is going to pound Michigan without mercy at every point, in every way, in every quarter, in every level of this game. There's not one part where Ohio State is deficient to Michigan. Running attack, running defense, passing attack, passing defense, quarterback, running back, skill players. In recent times, you have not seen such a dichotomy of talent as you see this year. So I think Ohio State wins this game. I think Will Howard has a monster game. I think they pound the Michigan by plus 20. Plus 20.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Last game you got here, South Carolina at Clemson. Clemson's a fraud. They're the 12th ranked team in the nation. I don't think they're very good. South Carolina's been pretty good this year. They've won some big games. So how do you see this one right here at Clemson? And Clemson is only a 3-point favorite at home, 12 against 15. What do you think?
So let me give you this. This is why you're right. South Carolina defense, third most sacks in the SEC. 2 starting offensive linemen for Clemson. Day-to-day, didn't play last week. Pitt absolutely mauled them. South Carolina's defense is going to maul this kid, Cade Klubnik. Into submission. South Carolina, I can't believe they are not favored in this game. I cannot believe they are not favored in this game. South Carolina does not get the respect yet that they deserve, especially when an SEC team is traveling to an ACC team. Usually they do. I think South Carolina wins this game, and I think they win it by double digits. I think what you look at,
wow,
their running attack over Clemson. Clemson's running defense has not been ranked well this year. But having 2 offensive linemen out going against an SEC defense that's 3rd in the SEC, powerful conference. I just don't see how Clemson wins this game. So yeah, I say South Carolina covers easily in this match.
All right, so +3, and listen, maybe sprinkle the money line, +130 if you're confident South Carolina wins it outright.
Yeah.
Then take a plus 130 on the money line. And Central City Toyota, I see you're working today, so there's no rest for the weary. So do you have Black Friday sales? Are you outside with a banner?
Friday sales. We got all kinds of good things happening down here. We have a full staff. We have a full room of people waiting in our service lounge. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. I got some donuts, I got some coffee, and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, there's nothing better than the dealership, car dealership coffee.
Right.
We all can relate to it. Now, the one thing you don't have the popcorn, which I appreciate because it's always terrible. But I've been to dealerships that have a popcorn machine, and I'm like, man, get that out of here. I don't want that.
I have a popcorn machine, and you know what? Usually, special occasions, we might fire that baby up. But it's an old school real one. It's an old school real one. We got a nice one.
I'm out on the popcorn machine, but I like coffee and donuts. All right, Central City Toyota, 55 years on Chestnut Street in the heart of University City. Biggest parts and service dealership. You can get your car serviced. I was talking to a friend the other night who said, I'm talking to Jamie Lynch. And Jamie's like, really? They'll come pick up my car by an appointment basis and service it and deliver it back? I'm like, absolutely. You're built for this, Jamie Lynch. CentralCityToyota.com got great deals going on. Black Friday sales event, and Uncle Jamie is there. So kick open his door and say, you better have the winners this week.
Better believe it. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
There he is, Uncle Jamie, and his college football locks of the week. There you go. All right, we have intern Daulton with his stat of the week.
So, by the way, we were talking about the Ohio State-Michigan game on the Penn State show this week. And both Adam and Jason seem to have this feel of like Michigan's going to hang around and cause some issues. I don't at all.
Me neither.
This Ohio State team is super talented. I had my questions about Will Howard coming into the season. I thought he was going to be their limitation. If he played well, they were a national title contender. If he doesn't play well, then there's going to be problems. He's played well for the most part this year. Their running tandem is the best in college football. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins are both electric. Their rush defense has been good. Their pass defense has gotten better as the year goes on. Michigan has won this game 3 straight times. Now, here's the thing. These were the rankings over the last 3 years. 5-2, 3-2, 3-2. Now you're talking about an unranked Michigan team.
6-5, just barely hanging on.
Going into Columbus. Yes, I know this is a rivalry week. Yes, I know that Michigan hates Ohio State and Ohio State hates Michigan with like an unwavering burning flame. I don't think this game is close. I think Ohio State runs away with this thing.
I agree.
Because here's the thing. Not only have the questions arisen about Ryan Day and beating Michigan and winning the game when it matters, especially the last 3 years. Now, granted, much different teams. Those were competitive Michigan teams. This is not a competitive Michigan team. But the questions have arisen about Ryan Day and can he beat Michigan? Can he win the big game? Ryan Day is going to run the score up on this game if he can. He's going to win this game by 30 if he has the ability to. Now, granted, I don't know how it transpires, but I think Ohio State wins this game fairly convincingly.
Yeah, I think they pile it on. You feel good about it as and then it's just the championship game, right? Is that, or they have another game and then they have the Big Ten?
So it would be if Ohio State wins Saturday, Oregon and Ohio State would be the Big Ten title game.
Right.
If Ohio State loses,
that's a hell of a game.
If Ohio State loses to Michigan Saturday and Penn State beats Maryland, it will be Oregon Penn State,
which is more incentive to come out and kick their ass.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to our picks, our NFL locks of the week. I already said that I am taking the Eagles +3, although I have them losing the game outright. Tyler has the Ravens covering in the game, which I could also see happening. But all right, so here we go. Commanders and Titans. Commanders are 6-point home favorites. The Titans. I'm not going to make this about Will Levis this week. I'm going to make this about the Commanders. They're 7-5. They've fallen off a little bit. They've lost 3 straight games. This is a must-win, and they still are a good team. They did not play well last week against the Cowboys. I think this is kind of a get-right game. I don't believe Washington's winning a playoff game, and I don't think that they're doing any damage this year. But what you saw in the first 2/3 of the season or the first half of the season is real. You have a really good young quarterback. I'll take Jaden Daniels and the Commanders -6 over the Titans. All right, the Bengals are at home with the Steelers, and the Bengals have been disappointing this year. The Steelers have been rolling, although winning a lot of close games. Russell Wilson, your starting quarterback, and I think this is the week where not the wheels start to fall off, but the skid starts from being, hey, we're a Super Bowl type team. Russell Wilson gives us the dynamic we need. We go with our defense, we run the football, and Russell Wilson makes big plays. I don't think Russell Wilson is that type of player. And the Bengals are 3-point home favorites for a reason. The odds makers don't buy the Pittsburgh Steelers, and neither do I. This starts the skid. Actually, last week started the skid, right? I'll take the Bengals -3 over the Steelers. Also, the Chargers on the road. So they lost last week. Bad loss for the Chargers, too. They could have very easily won that game. They traveled to Atlanta. The Falcons, who have been surprisingly good. I didn't expect them to be in a bad division. I didn't expect them to be right there with a chance to make the playoffs, then why are they 1.5 underdogs against the Chargers? Los Angeles Chargers -1.5 over the Falcons. Take them. I just think the Chargers are a good team, and the Falcons aren't. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, but not a quarterback that I would ever want as my starter. I'll take the Chargers -1.5 over the Falcons. As I was skipped. What did I go last week? 1-3 in my picks.
No.
2-2.
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah, because you were 1-2 in your NFL picks. No, I'm sorry, you were 1-3.
1-3 because I missed the
you
Eagles.
took the Rams. Yeah, that was your first Eagles loss in weeks.
I was like the Eagles. I got hot.
Yeah, I mean you had an 8-2 record coming into that one. 8-3 now. Still, you've had a pretty good feel for the Eagles most of the season, which makes me feel confident about.
We both have the same feel this week.
Well, yes, I think that we are both taking the Eagles to lose this game this week. And I'm going to apologize in advance to the Pacific Northwest and their fans because I have not had a beat on Seattle all year long. Every time I've picked the Seahawks, they lose. Every time I pick against them, they win. Like last week, I'm going to take the Seahawks. Yes, I know they're going across country. The Jets are in disarray right now. The fact that this game is a pick'em or close to a pick'em worries me. It opened at 2.5. It's down to 1 on BetParks. That means a lot of money is coming in on the Jets. That worries me a little bit. But the Jets are a mess right now, right? They fired their head coach weeks ago. They fired their GM a couple of weeks ago. Aaron Rodgers has basically publicly said, I don't want to play for this team anymore. Breece Hall is questionable in this game, who is probably their best player. I just don't know if there's enough going on, even with the fact that the Seahawks are traveling across the country, for me to justify picking against them. I'm going to take the Seahawks -1, which means the Jets are going to win this game. I'm sorry, Seattle fans, but I'm going to take the Seahawks -1. The Arizona Cardinals are a much better team at home than they are on the road. Minnesota has kind of reverted back to early season form.
Yeah.
They came out of the gate on fire. They had a couple of close games. They lost 2 out of 3, I believe, but they've played some really good football. And they went 3-0 on the road, which is just amazing to me, considering I didn't think that this was sustainable. Clearly, it is. They are a good football team. I'm going to take the -3.5 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. This line has fluctuated somewhere between 3 and 4 most of the week. It ends up settling at 3.5. Which means it's a slight lean towards Minnesota. I think you could see a big Justin Jefferson game. If you get a big Aaron Jones game, I think they're going to win this game going away. Arizona's run defense is better at home. Arizona's team as a whole is better at home. I'm going to take the Vikings at home -3.5. Now, this one is Monday Night Football. This one's a little bit high for me, but I just don't think the Browns are a very good football team. And Bo Nix has played mistake-free each of the last couple of weeks. The Broncos' defense is legit. I think it swarms Jameis Winston. I think it bottles up the run game between Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. I just don't think the Browns have quite enough firepower to score enough points.
Hold this
on
one
Denver.
second because we got to thank our viewers on TV. Appreciate you watching. Get over to allphly.com to watch more of the show. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I just don't think the Browns have enough firepower to score enough points against Denver. If this is a high teens, low 20s game, then they're going to cover the spread. If Denver's able to get to 27, 28 points, I just don't think Cleveland has enough to get to 23, 24. Even with Jameis playing better than some expected, I'm going to take the Broncos -5.5.
Yeah, I like that game too. I looked at that game. I like that side. And like as far as the Jets in Seattle, why would this be the week the Jets decide that they care and they want to win? Man, these guys are already looking at their off-season vacation plans. They're mad as hell. Aaron Rodgers is done. He's cooked. When they fired the GM, they fired the coach. Yeah, Seattle needs this game, and they're going across country, and that scared me off of it a little bit. But Seattle needs this game. They're right now. They are representing the West. They need this win. Jets, whatever. Is Daulton the stat intern? Is he with us this morning? Is he connected? Last week, he gave us a dynamite Brandon Graham sack, and then look what Brandon Graham sacks, and then he got injured. He's out for the season. So hopefully what he gives us this week doesn't
I've been
have
hearing
negative.
that all week, jinxing him up. So
it's not your fault. What's up? Happy Thanksgiving, Daulton. How are you, buddy?
Thanksgiving. I'm doing better than Bears fans are today, I guess.
For sure. Oh my, could you imagine losing a game like that in that fashion? To not even like, it's one thing. Who knows if they missed the field goal, right? Like Santos isn't known to be the best kicker in the NFL, but still, you don't even get a shot. You don't get a shot at the end zone. You don't get a shot. If the ball's picked off, you're like, oh damn, if there's a fumble or whatever. They didn't even get a field goal or a shot at the end zone. It was crazy.
Yeah, well,
All right. Well, what do you
Guess
got
that.
this week? What do you got this week, Stat Intern?
So for this week, with baseball winter meetings on the horizon, I thought that I would pivot to talk about some baseball. And the
Nice.
guy at the Phillies that could be rumored to get, not Juan Soto, but it'll be Anthony Santander. So for his career, he is a 246 batting average.
Yeah.
He averages 34 home runs a season. His slugging percentage is 469. His on-base percentage is 307. Now, his strikeout percentage, he is 20.7%, which is below league average. And his walk percentage is 7.3, which is also below league average. Now, his pull percentage, though, is high with a 34.3%.
I don't want that guy. I don't want Robert. I see a lot of being like, oh, we trade for Garcia. Get Robert too. No, thank you. Daulton, I want a better hitter on the team. I don't need a high strikeout, low average, low on base percentage guy. So Santander, you just convinced me. No, thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there he is. It's Daulton, the Stat Intern, joins us every Friday with his different stat. Who would you sign if you were the Phillies? What would your plan be?
I mean, I guess if I couldn't get Juan Soto, it'd probably be getting rid of Bohm, because I didn't really like his attitude during the whole postseason. And I kind of liked either getting Bregman or Willie Adames. I thought that one of those two guys to play third base would be pretty good for the Phillies. I thought Anthony Santander isn't a bad option. He's going to be cheaper than Soto in the outfield.
Yeah.
And I thought with, him playing in Philadelphia, it's not Baltimore where they have that weird wall out in left field. So I thought, maybe a couple more homers here than he would in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a good player. We'll see. All right, Daulton, thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, Daulton, the Stat Intern. Juan Soto is not coming to Philadelphia. I don't care how many people will say, well, I mean, they haven't actually had a conversation, but they're going to have a conversation, or they have had conversations. So Scott Boras represents Juan Soto.
So, by the way, to add to Daulton's conversation about Anthony Santander, he did hit 44 home runs last year, which was his career high. Here's the trajectory if he would have played every game in certain ballparks. Would have ended up with 45 if he'd have played at Citizens Bank Park, compared to 37 if he'd have played every game in Baltimore. Obviously, as Daulton brings up, that they're moving that porch back in a little bit. They can't quite figure out what they want to do with it. But yes, he would have hit 45 home runs last year if he'd have played at Citizens Bank Park.
Awesome. And they would have went 0 for 13 in the series against the Mets. And
well, so would have everybody.
I know.
I could have gone 0 for 13. I could have done that.
I know. But like Soto, Scott Boras has conversations with Dave Dombrowski all the time and with the Phillies ownership all the time because of Scott Boras and because he represents a lot of clients, a lot of players, right? So of course the Phillies are having conversations with him. I'm sure the name Juan Soto has come up. They're not getting Juan Soto. Stop it. All the people in the media, if you really believe that they're going to get Juan Soto, then I don't know if you should be in the media. If you're doing it because you're trying to keep it out there, all right, well, listen, it's possible. Okay, that's fine. But that's what you're doing. And I don't have to do that anymore. And here's the other thing. If people are trying to make the case, I don't believe the Phillies are going to do it. Here's why they should do it, and here's how they should do it. That's perfectly fine. That's a different conversation. That's not what's happening here. People are using these bogus and phony. They're not even reports. I'm telling you, John stole this on The Good Fight. He wrote something earlier in the week that explained how this became a rumor. It's not really even a rumor. Some insider said on MLB Network, well, the Phillies could be blah, 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 blah. And then it becomes that somebody said this. Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube and our chatters that jumped on today. Thank you. Tyler's going to get the podcast coming up here in a second if you want to listen to the audio-only podcast. And we'll be back on Monday after hopefully a big Eagles win. I know both members of the show picked the Eagles to lose this week, but we'll see what happens. Enjoy football. Enjoy family this weekend. We are back Monday at 8 a.m. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.